Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a short make top 10 list of the pointless things where we flying by his pointless statue in Booty Bay, because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is Augustus the Touched, and Augustus the Touched is an undead fungus vendor and quest giver located in Terrordale in the Eastern Plaguelands. And so when you talk to Augustus, he says, "Before the Scourge came, I had a great business. I bought and sold everything, and my prices were insane. Just ask anyone who's not dead." And so the first quest he gives you is called A Fate Worse Than Butchery, and he says, "The people of Terrordale, they were sick when they turned bad. Definitely not good times. The pigs, though, they also got sick. What did the pigs do to deserve to get sick? Nothing. People I can forget about, but bad pigs still make me sad. If you kill them, though, I might get happy." And then he also wants you to go get his receipt book, because how can he do business without his receipt book? And so once you do those quests, he reopens up shop and he just sells fungus. He just sells mushrooms. And I read here on Wowhead that this is likely a reference to Crazy Eddie, who was a famous electronic salesman in the 80s, and the reference to the receipt book is because Crazy Eddie had a tax evasion scandal when he fled the country. And so yeah, Augustus the Touched is definitely one of the weirdest vendors in the game, and so that's why he's number 10. 9. Number 9 is Woodsman Drake, and Woodsman Drake is a vendor located at the Valiance Expedition in the Grizzly Hills. And the only thing that Woodsman Drake sells is a wooden outhouse so that you can put an outhouse in your WoW house. And you're only able to purchase the outhouse from him if you've completed the Doing Your Duty quest, which is a quest where you find some amber seeds and you eat the amber seeds, and they're like, "You shouldn't have eaten those amber seeds, we need those." And then they make you take a laxative essentially, and then you have to go to the outhouse and use the outhouse, which has some interesting visuals, and then you're allowed to buy the outhouse from Woodsman Drake. But another weird thing is that this whole quest is with Master Woodsman Anderhall, so I don't know why he's not the one selling the outhouse and Woodsman Drake is the one selling it, because Woodsman Drake also has quests, but they're all revolving around fighting the Dragon Flare Vrykul and doing quests based around that. So you would think that the guy that gives you the whole quest about going to the outhouse would be the one that sells you the outhouse, but I mean, what do I know? He's the Master Woodsman. I mean, you know what? Maybe because he's the Master Woodsman, he has one of his lesser woodsmen sell the outhouse because that's something he doesn't want to do. That makes sense. I'll just go with that. So either way, that's why Woodsman Drake is number 9. 8. Number 8 is Halpa, and Halpa is a Tauren prairie dog vendor located on the high rise in Thunderbluff. And I love the fact that he has prairie dogs just running around here. You can see one right next to him, but there's a couple more outside running around, and it's just, I didn't expect to find a prairie dog vendor. I know there's different types of pet vendors all over the place, but I don't know. There's just something odd and unusual about a prairie dog vendor. I don't know. It just feels kind of random, but I love that about him, right? And so apparently Halpa also means cheap in Finnish, so maybe they are saying that he sells cheap prairie dogs, right? I also found it interesting that if you look up the prairie dog in the pet journal, it says a complex system of burrows protects the prairie dog from its neighbor's massive hooves. And so I just like that their pet journal entry is essentially they've crafted all these burrows to not get stepped on by the Tauren. But these prairie dogs seem all right. They're going all over the place. They don't really care about going into the burrows to not get stepped on. Maybe because they know Halpa's not going to step on them, right? He's selling them. He cares about them, so they feel very safe around him. So either way, that's why Halpa is number 8. 7. Number 7 are the Amphitheater vendors located in the Amphitheater of Anguish in Zul'Aman. And I've mentioned these in a couple other pointless top 10s, but I just really like them, and I think they're pretty weird. So when you go to the Amphitheater of Anguish, there are these amphitheater vendors that are goblin vendors that walk around and they sell you snacks, or if you slash wave at them, they will throw you either an Anguish ale, a bag of popcorn, or a bag of peanuts. Now, one weird thing is if you actually want to buy any of the ale, popcorn, or peanuts from the vendor, you can't actually purchase it from them. They only sell crusty flatbread, honey mint tea, pungent seal whey, sweet potato bread, and sweetened goat's milk, which I don't really know why they're selling these items specifically. It just seems very random. But the other crazy thing is these goblin vendors have insane arm strength and accuracy. Like, they'll see someone calling for something like really far away and just be like, "I got you," and just lob it with pinpoint accuracy. Like, they could be quarterbacks in the NFL. Although there was an orc that called for something and then the goblin threw it to a completely different person even further away. So I don't know why they did that or what that was about, but still impressive. And so yeah, these are just some weird vendors in World of Warcraft, and that's why They're number 7. 6. Number 6 is Lydia Peyton, the purveyor of underhanded things, and Lydia is located at Bismo's Brawl Pub in Stormwind. And Lydia sells rotten fruits and expired blackout brew. And there's actually a similar rotten fruit vendor in the Horde version named Esme Sunshadow, but I like that Lydia had some crazy glasses on, so I just went with her. Also, I think Bismo's Brawl Pub is just better, and I'm mainly a Horde person, but I just like Bismo's. I think it's cool. But anyway, I was like, why does this vendor just sell rotten fruit and expired blackout brew? And so looking into it, it appears that there are achievements related to these things. So one of them is called Haters Gonna Hate, and that is where you have to win a brawl with 10 stacks of You Stink. So getting hit by rotten fruit gives you You Stink stacks, which is fun to say, and you essentially just get a friend to throw rotten fruit at you, and that's the main way to get the achievement. There's also an achievement called Bottle Service, which is hit an angry spectator in the head with an expired blackout brew. So she's essentially an achievement vendor, but I do think it's fun that you can just buy rotten fruit and throw it at people in the Brawlers Guild. But it is pretty weird, and so that's why Lydia Peyton is number 6. 5. Number 5 is Hagash the Blind, and Hagash is an orc bow vendor located at Spinebreaker Post in the Hellfire Peninsula, and he currently sells a heavy recurve bow and a reinforced bow. However, he used to sell arrows back when people actually used arrows. And so first off, I do think it's weird that a blind orc is the one who's selling bows. Like, maybe he used to use bows and arrows and then something hit him in the eye and he went blind, or maybe he's got some like crazy X-Men powers where he can sense his surroundings. He's got like sonar like a bat. He's got like super hearing or something. But anyway, then there's a nearby conversation happening with some Thrallmar grunts, and they're referring to this catapult nearby, and they go, "You know, I think we can hit honor hold from here." And he's like, "If General Crackork found out, he'd eat us alive. Don't." Haha. We could tell him Hagash stumbled into it and fired it accidentally. And then Hagash is like, "I'm blind, you stupid so-spawn, not deaf. Don't even think about it." And then both the Thrallmar grunts sigh. And as somebody who just recently replayed Warcraft 3, I think this is a pretty clear Illidan reference of when he's like, "I'm blind, not deaf." But yeah, Hagash is kind of a weird vendor, and that's why he's number 5. 4. Number 4 are a couple weird vendors in Zul'Aman. There's actually a lot of weird vendors in Zul'Aman, but I picked out these ones because I like them the most. And that is Bugcatcher Kalyun, Boldar, and Habdash. And so Bugcatcher Kalyun is the most normal of these three. He's just the guy that catches bugs, and then he sells those bugs. So he sells blue moth eggs, yellow moth eggs, red moth eggs, and undercity cockroaches, which is interesting because normally you would get those from Jeremiah Payson, the cockroach vendor in the Undercity, who did not make this list. I'm sure people are going to be like, "You didn't put Jeremiah Payson," but you know, he would be number 11. All right. He's the honorable mention here. But to me, it's weird because I'm like, how did Bugcatcher Kalyun get these Undercity cockroaches? Did he actually go to the Undercity and catch them? Like, I have no idea. But then we have Habdash, who is an ogre, and he tries to sell you a plain hat box for 20 gold. And every time you buy his plain hat box, you receive 2 twill covers, which sell for about 68 silver. So you're losing about 19 gold, so not the greatest deal. He also has some fun quotes such as, "Want to buy hats? I have hats. 2 for the price of 2. And, of course I sell 2 hats at same time. I have 2 heads. I see you only have 1 head. Me sorry for you, but you can keep extra hat." And then we also have Boldar, who sells designer rocks. And so he sells shiny rock, smooth rock, fly rock, hard rock, and magic rock. And his quotes are, "Hey, you want to buy a rock? I got the best rocks. Buy Boldar's rocks. I got the bestest rocks here. I sell for a good price." And, "Want to be big and strong like Boldar? Buy one of my rocks, then lift and smash with it every day. Then maybe you get big and strong. Maybe not as big or strong as me, though." And so, yeah, these are all weird vendors, and so that's why they're number 4. 3. Number 3 is Tex Vortico, and Tex Vortico is a goblin reagent vendor located in Azshara, and he's specifically located in Xylem's tower, and he sits in a chair next to Joanna, Xylem's apprentice. And Joanna herself is kind of weird, although she's not a vendor, but she has these glowing blue Death Knight eyes, and in one of her quests she says, "Your thoughts are very loud. It's hard for me to not hear them." But anyway, Tex sells Vanishing Powder, a Gateway Control Shard, and Calthea's Haunted Locket. And it says here on Wowhead that Calthea was a highborn elf who, like her fellow night elves at the Academy of Memnar, sacrificed themselves to divert power away from the portal Azshara was conjuring, basically buying time for the rest of the world to mount a defense by slowing the rate at which the Legion troops could enter Azeroth. Calthea's significance was that she was the one who took the Selkin Stone, which is the artifact that was created to drain away power, and hid in the lake around the Academy, content with simply razing the place to the ground once they managed to break through the Academy's defense expenses, the Legion never found the artifact that was buying time for their enemies. And so if you decide to buy the locket, it is a toy that actually turns you into the Spirit of Calthea. And so if I had to guess, I imagine he just found the locket and he's like, yo, I could sell this for money. And that's what he did. But I just think the whole situation's weird of him just sitting in a chair here in Archmage Xylem's tower, which has a bunch of weird stuff going on as well. I don't know. The whole situation's weird, but that's why Tex Vortico is number 3. Number 2 is Rona Greenteeth, and Rona Greenteeth is a forsaken food vendor found in the woods of the Darkmoon Island. And so when you talk to her, she says, "Oh, a visitor. I don't get many visitors out here. Hungry? I've cooked many delightful things, my dear. No, not the fish. Those are for when I can't catch anything tastier, sweetling." And so when you click to see what she's selling, it's forsaken foie gras, green ham and eggs, and inky black potion. However, many of her items got removed in patch 7.2 when she used to sell Troll Tartar, Stormwind Surprise, Silvermoon Steak, Teldrassil Tenderloin, last year's mutton, Mulgore meat pie, last month's mutton, Nomragon nuggets, beer-basted short ribs, and Draianic dumplings. So it's heavily implied that she's cooking various World of Warcraft races that probably got lost and captured at the Darkmoon Fair. It also appears she's a reference to Jenny Greenteeth, who is a river hag in English folklore that would pull children or the elderly into water and drown them. And so yeah, I would definitely say she is one of the weirdest vendors in World of Warcraft, even with all those items removed. And so that's why Rona Greenteeth is number 2. And number 1 is Griftah. And to me, Griftah is just the weirdest NPC in the game. I mean, they have been in every single expansion except for like Wrath of the Lich King, and I don't think they're in WoW Midnight, which is actually kind of weird because Griftah had quests involving Zul'Aman back in the day, so you would think this would be an expansion they put Griftah into. But yeah, if you don't know Griftah, it's essentially a play on words of grifter, so he's trying to grift you or take advantage of you, and he's trying to sell you things like soap on a rope, inflatable tick-belong ward, stone of stupendous springing strides, shark's tooth of bona fide fluidic mobility, compassionate critter's friend, polished pendant of edible energy, charm of potent and powerful passions, talisman of true treasure tracking, marvelous madstone of immortality, and a hula girl doll, which some of those are some tongue twisters, let me tell you. But yeah, you can even find him in Dornegal, standing next to a bunch of random items. My favorite is in Kunlai Summit. He's with the Lucky Do Grummels, and he's like, "You don't need these Lucky Doos, buy my stuff. They're way more lucky." And so yeah, to me, not only is Griftah a really weird vendor, but he's been in almost every version of World of Warcraft, and so that's why I put Griftah at number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want more Top 10s, you can check out Traveling Merchants, because that kind of ties into vendors, or there's 3 hours of weird and unusual stuff in WoW if you really want to waste your time. Also, like the video and comment below your favorite weirdest vendor in WoW. Okay? Okay. See ya.